Good morning. Good morning. I'm Max Fisher, son of Steve Fisher and grandson to Paul Fisher and Sue Fisher here. If you guys don't know me, I've been First Pres since I think the day I was born. I believe Dr. Lewis is on there. I believe he baptized me.
He is.
So you got full spectrum here. And then I've got some crew on the
frozen
from New York, Chad Hoskins and John. Good to see y'all. Some roommates from Furman. They heard I was teaching this morning. They wanted to join in. And I got some cousins from South Carolina, Uncle Irv and Bo Philpott on there. So can y'all hear me good on Zoom?
They're good. Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
First off, I want to thank you all for having me today. I don't know where's Dan at in here. Dan, I don't know whose idea this was. I don't know if it was a good idea or not. I attended Sunday, so it's a good first launch though. We like it.
Furman's growth's already started. Tell Benisa to mute himself.
John, could you please mute yourself, John?
Benisa, mute yourself.
Okay.
Thanks.
There he goes. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So just want to thank all y'all to have you this morning. It's a great honor to not only be a member of Every Man's Bible Class, but also to be able to speak at it. If you guys do not know, I have recently moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and joined them this weekend. I felt very, very honored that Dan had asked me to come in and speak. And hopefully I'll be on more connected on Zoom in the later weeks than up here in person. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get rolling. What I was teaching about, what I was thinking about this week, what should I teach about this weekend? Three scriptures in the Bible kind of were guiding me, all right, and that I really, really enjoy and speak to and think about. All right, we've got three of them here. One from the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus in the desert, where he was tempted by the devil for 40 days and 40 nights. You guys all know that story, all right? The other one in Genesis, Adam and Eve getting tempted by the serpent. And then the last one here is Job, where he was suffering and put under all this suffering and pain. Even his friends and family were, hey, why are you still believing in this God if he's torturing you? And he stayed true even through all those temptations, right? And so thinking about those things, we've got three examples there. We've got the heavenly, we got Jesus. He's perfect. He's fighting off the devil, right? You've got Adam and Eve, kind of that weird scenario that goes wrong where you get the temptation and you fall for it. And you've got, a humanly man, Job, who's been tempted by God and he stayed true, right? And so we've got the failure. We've got a one that's humanly that we can kind of follow to be like Job. All right. And then you've got Jesus, one that Almighty we can look towards. Yeah. And so now I want to talk about kind of some of these stories and journey through First Pres that I've been with. And so, starting off as a young man through the church, growing up here, baptized by Dr. Lewis there, kind of going through some cool stories as I've grown in my faith here at First Pres. And so, first off, I don't know if you guys remember growing up, going to all of the summer Bible studies and those things. John grew up with his backwards hat and his teddy bear running through, being, the ignorant little kid going, hey, what's going on here? Who's this Jesus guy? Going through having, me and my brother, Banks and Jack all in church together, in the mornings. My mother would do pat downs. I don't know, like a security guard pat downs. We used to wear those cargo shorts, with all the pockets. And I would sneak in, little Game Boy Advances in my pockets. Your mom's keeping you strict, she's got to pat you down. A funny one is I used to come in with Jack, my little brother's Game Boy, in one pocket. No battery, no games in it. And my one on my right pocket. And so I have a decoy. Exactly. And so whenever my mom took the decoy, I'd sit over there in the pew and try to turn on the other one and start playing. She had it, pat it down, you're going to act like this in church. Another one would be growing up. I don't know if you guys remember doing the 8:30, the early service over in the big church. If you spot us up in the balcony, you would see some of the Fisher boys up there fully decked out in our soccer gear, head to toe, not cleats, but high soccer socks, full warm-up gear, because we had to get to church before we go to play our games, right? And so we'd sit up there in church, people would be in suits and we'd be there in our soccer gear. Kind of that, just memories growing up in the church there. Let's see. Another big one that I really enjoyed was, I don't know if you guys know, for the summer Bible study, you do the massive, singing at the end of the year, at the end of the week. and you get up there and you sing in front of all the church. And my brother and I, Banks, were playing in the basement that day while they were all setting up everything and playing football with Mr. Potato Head. Right? And he threw me a long one. As a wide receiver, I am very athletic. Dove into the couch down there and split my nose completely open down the side. Had to be rushed to the ER. But Stephen Robbins said, no, you're coming back. And so I came back that evening and had to sing, even with a full stitch in the side of my nose, broken nose, bleeding and crying everywhere. Another one, involving Everyman's Bible class as well would be in First Kids and having, on Wednesday nights going to First Kids. And I believe we had some dinners there where some of the Everyman's class would come in and speak to us. The late Mr. Farah, is it Farah? Farah. I remember meeting him as a young man, and he would he'd barely hear me, and he would scream at me very loud. It was a good memory to have that, Mr. Farah, growing up. And then, moving on in my journey at First Pres, kind of getting into my high school years, going through high school youth. If you guys are in the high school youth groups, if you guys remember our youth leader, Brian Doust, from a few years back, he would take us to meet and preach. We would go to Arby's and go get big old, roast beef sandwiches, and he'd give us a lesson while we're eating the roast beef sandwiches at Arby's. Going to Rowan Help Ministries to serve, going to build houses with Habitat for Humanity. And then an all-time favorite here, where's Mr. Almeida at? There he is. In my high school journey, as a young adult, not the smartest guy. One evening had told my parents I was going to be one place, and I ended up another.
Where were you? Where did you tell you were, man?
So I ended up at the Smith household. That's all I'll say. But I had told my parents I was staying at a buddy's house. And that friend's families, it turns out, were vacationing in Wisconsin. Little did I know that. So, my mom rings them up. Hey, where's Max at? How's he doing? What are you talking about? We're in Wisconsin. My adolescent mind was thinking, as long as I show up to church on Sunday morning, there's no way I can get in trouble. There's no way. So I call up Banks, and he comes, picks me up, and I make it to church the next morning, dragging in. And it did not save me. It went out in we used to do a newsletter on at Christmas time. My mom would update, all these families and how we were doing. And that story was detailed and mailed out to, I think, 300 something. And lo and behold, Mr. Tony Almeida got a hold of that. And I didn't know Tony as well at the time, knew of him, pastor of the church. And he just started calling me Wisconsin. Every single day, those mistakes there. Wisconsin, hey Wisconsin, how are you? Wisconsin, how's Wisconsin lady? How's that cheese? And then, moving on to kind of leaving First Pres and going to college. I went to Furman University, and then later on Clemson. And, that's a big moment and a big shift from high school to college there. You're kind of out on your own. You got to figure out who you're going to be. It's time to become a man. And lo and behold, we're all idiots, for better lack of the term, at that age, right? There's a lot of different temptations there. There's a lot of different things that you can get wrapped up in. As you guys all know from going to college, waking up on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m., the last thing you're doing is putting on a collared shirt and going to church. Doesn't matter how cold those Coors Lights were the night before. Does not matter how bad we beat UNCG the night before, or how bad at Clemson we beat Duke. All right, doesn't matter. Jesus does not care about that. He wants you in church the next morning. And so it's very hard as a college student to make that fight to wake up that morning to get to church. What makes it even harder though is whenever you got Robin Fisher texting you, 9 a.m. you wake up, you roll over in bed. proof of life. Where's your picture of you in your church clothes? I bulletin. Date on it. I need to have a bulletin with a date on it. And some points, a picture of me and the pastor.
It's sad because sometimes you just get a picture of the church and it might have been dated.
Or, you know, a little drive-by photo. Going to lunch. And on top of that, you know, I've got Jack and Banks also getting those text messages. And so if Jack's sending a picture with the pastor, well, dang, I gotta have mine because I gotta have Jack with me. And so, you know, to wrap that all in, these are all these little things, the stories I've just told you, all these little tiny things that have kind of kept me on my straight and narrow. Now, not all of these things, you know, have brought me to, you know, Robin Fisher texted me, I was in church. I'm not going to say that worked every single time, but it's this collection of little things and small things through my journey, through college and through my faith here that have kept me back in the church, right? It's all these, you know, might not be these big moments from these scriptures. It might not be 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. It might not be, you know, God crashing down on you like Joe. It might not be a serpent. It could be those consistent things every single day in your life that you're seeing. You know, getting called Wisconsin, that reminds me, I got to be in church on Sunday. You know, my mom texted me, keeping me consistent. And so one thing I want to ask you all about, you know, what are those little things that keep y'all, you know, back in Every Man's Bible class? What keeps y'all back in First Pres? So I will, you know, call out on some of you y'all if y'all don't have it. I know Hap's got one back there. I know he's not here for the singing.
Later, at the end of the program, I'll sing Lydia. Remember when I said Lydia, y'all say Lydia. I said Lydia. That sort of broke the ice a little bit.
So I want to hear from y'all, you know, any little things that keep you consistent and keep you on the straight and narrow. Thanks.
The Robin Fisher text, even though I'm 26, about to be 27 and married. Church today. That keeps me on the straight and narrow.
That's very, very important. I love it. That's it.
The thing that kind of, you know, keeps me grounded really is this group, Every Man's, and the love that is in this room. And, you know, we all need people to keep us accountable. And whether it's Kent running off with whatever, disappearing for a few days, you know, we don't see him, we're calling, where are you, what's going on? And we all need people that miss us when we're not here.
Yes, sir. Mr. Oh,
I'm gonna give mine because it's been an interesting journey. Mr. Paul and Dan Williams are the first people who got me here. And then I drug my boys into here. And then I watched them hold me accountable to be here. Banks would sit there, you going Every Man's today? Well, there's a Man City game. You're going to Every Man's, come on. And it's funny when it flip flops and your kids are the ones holding you accountable.
yeah.
Yeah, you've been holding them too.
I go back about 30 years and I look and I think about the Bobby Lomaxes and the Julian Kreiders and the Paul Fishers. The people that I admired most in life were leading the way, and I want to follow their course. And there are still people in this room who I respect as much or more than anybody else. These are some of the most wonderful people I've had the privilege of being around, and it continues. The fellowship and the closeness.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Fellowship is huge. It's just great being a part of this.
You can tell everybody here and then everybody else online today. I know John's kept me accountable a couple times and waking up. He was my roommate in college, and he was off the church, and I was not. And I'm like, oh, well, next Sunday, John. Mr. O?
I come to Every Man's, not so much because of fellowship here, but because I love Jesus Christ. And that's why I come to Every Man's, and that's why I come to church.
Sir. That's number one. That's the number one reason right there.
Listen, that one, see, I've been listening to you, I've been on that. And every time I hear Here comes them.
Yes, sir.
Here comes, there's a.
Jesus comes saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Max, you're a shining example of what I strive to be the father, because I remember you and youth and all the. Everything you did the best in youth, and that's, yep, and in 10 or 15 years, I mean, I would like to see Brady and Payson with it, they're doing, so thank you.
Yeah.
If y'all missed the 8:50 service, Pace was up there with his hand up. I was there this morning, I was like, I believe that was either me or Jack doing that.
I think it's been a wonderful journey for this class, to have the Fisher family here. I'll never forget Paul's lessons, that he would give. The way he stood up to illness, just wonderful. I remember, this is from the early 70s, Sue. My wife and I were in Rockwell, it was for, I believe, Memorial Day. And you and Paul just happened to be walking in front of us. And you both were in jeans and both had your arms around each other. I'll never forget that. I thought,
That must have been a
what
good
a-
day.
I love it. Oh, that was great. So it's been wonderful for us having the Fisher family, just great.
Any others, any other, little things to the church that keep you consistent and keep you on the straight and narrow?
I've got a question for you. You
Yes, sir.
said you went to Clemson,
Yes, sir.
football fan,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and you're living in Tennessee now. How's that working out for you?
It's a long chain of orange. I do walk to the gym on days and I got my Clemson gear on and they look at me funny and they're going, what is that guy doing?
Everybody says you're number one, I'm sure.
Real tiger.
Well, then to bring it all in, on these collection of little things that keep you, on that straight and narrow, you need this fellowship and this help. I'd like to give, a couple of these that since I've been back home from college and part of the Every Man's Group, my little things that I enjoy about this class and keep me coming back and keep me, here today. Like I said, my dad brought me in, he invited me in. When I came back, he said, hey, son, it is every man's, you are a man, you need to be here. And so coming in here and getting the good invite. And on my first day, Mr. Hat back there tapped me on the shoulder. I need help with the backups for Roll Call Up Yonder. He tapped the wrong shoulder. But, having that.
I made a lot of you.
Having that responsibility now that every time we get in here, I'm excited to do the second line underneath it, Roll Call Up Yonder. I love that. My first couple classes in here, Vic's up here talking about some movie from the 40s. What's the Citizen Kane? I don't know what Citizen Kane is. I don't know what it is, but I know what you're talking about.
A lot of people are running around in South Carolina that know who Citizen Kane is.
And, the first couple lectures I heard from, Professor Trevor over from Hood Seminary, come in here and not knowing a single word he said the first couple classes. All over my head, but about the second or third time, I picked up on a few things. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm not as dumb as I thought. But learn a little bit each day. And then, Mr. Dan Cable coming up to me after one of the classes, inviting me to the oyster roast, and those sort of things. And I didn't really experience oyster roast before. Coming in and meeting a lot of you gentlemen. I don't know if Trox was here or not, but he taught me how to chuck oysters at the oyster roast. Those little things to keep you reminded of why I should be back in church and with this community. Another one would be an initiative from Josh and Laura, the All In groups. I don't know if you guys have been a part of it. Miss Dottie was a part of the All In group I was in, and meeting those people and being able to see them out in the community in the grocery store kind of keeps you reminded, oh yeah, I need to be back in church. I need to stay consistent. There's constant reminders. And then, finally the phone call from Mr. Dan Cable going, hey Max, would you like to teach on Sunday? And I was like, oh, sure, yeah, we'll get together. And so, that brought me here today, and, hopefully I can, still continue with it, whether through Zoom while I'm at home. But the big thing here is all of the, forgot my most important one. Tony Almeida in the YMCA as I pass by every morning. Hey, Wisconsin, why weren't you in church on Sunday? Wisconsin, I didn't see it every man. Those things, in the community keep you consistent, keep you there. And so, with these little things, they can make a big difference. Doesn't have to be some big event. It's these small things, these small passings. Knowing someone's name or nickname, as you pass by to keep them, I need to be in church, I need to be in every man's. I know there's a lot of young gentlemen in our church today. I don't know if you guys see the Adams boys and the Fowler boys. Knowing them by name, I know you got Luke in the back, I believe first time at every man's. Knowing their names and kind of giving them either a little bit of answer or, something where, hey, why aren't you in church on Sunday? Hey, why were you not every man's? Or just some sort of connection to keep them back and to keep them growing. It's very, very important. And I've had some experiences here where I've, gone with some fellow guys my age and, hey, why ain't you every man's? Why aren't you in every man's? And, it hasn't worked out thus far, but it's only been a couple times. It takes effort and effort and effort and effort and effort. And that's what I want to say. These little things can make the big difference. As Uncle Herb, I know he's on the phone there. He loves the saying, what's the difference between being good and being great? It's the little things. It's the little things. It's those small things and this consistency, can create something great. And so that's one challenge I'll leave with y'all today is, the youth there in our church, getting a connection with them, knowing their names, saying, hey, Luke, I didn't see you in every man's and you see him in the gym. You see Luke in the gym, you better know him, right? And so it's those small things that, has helped me a ton be where I am today and then hopefully grow more and more in my faith. And so from my experience, I want to share with y'all today and challenge you all to do that for some other youth in the community. Yeah.